Oh boy, what a game that was, eh? If you were watching the Senators and the Rangers game from today, the afternoon game on October 23rd, you know exactly why I'm making this video. No, we're not going to be talking about the goals, we're not going to be talking about the cool setups or the fancy plays or whatever, we're not going to be talking about the normal stuff that you see in a hockey game. This video is going over the referees, let's talk about embellishment, let's go over too many men penalties, let's go over Chris Kreider, and let's go over goaltender injuries because of Chris Kreider. So, this game over here was a 3-2 New York Rangers win in regulation. It was one where the Senators had a 2-0 lead at some point in the third period. It was Nick Paul 41 seconds into the first, and Josh Norris 1 minute into the third, who got the 2 Ottawa Senators goals. However, as you can see on the score sheet afterwards, Chris Kreider, Charlie Lindgren, Barclay Goodrow, 3 straight unanswered goals in the third period to win the game 3-2. Now, normally, stuff like that happens. Oh, you choke away a lead, you had a 2-goal lead, it's the worst lead in hockey, and the other team comes back, they tie it, then they win in regulation. It sucks for Ottawa, boo-hoo. But this game was a lot more than just that, because the refereeing in this game was quite brutal to the point where if somebody told me that somebody was making a bet or two with the Ottawa Senators and they wanted the Rangers to win this game and they were tipping off the refs to get that result, I'd honestly have a pretty easy time believing it. If you're an Ottawa Senators fan, it's easy to get angry and emotional about this, but even if you're not, just looking at all the calls that went over in this game, some of the calls that were missed, it was quite brutal, starting off with the too many men penalty that the New York Rangers should have taken sometime in the second period. Now, in this span of time, the Rangers have a full 6-man unit on the ice for pretty much an entire shift. They take the puck back into their own zone, they retreat behind the net, and it's only there because the Ottawa Senators are kind of swooping around. They lost a little bit of a handle on it, which is why the Rangers got possession, but you could clearly see for about 1 full shift's worth of time, the Rangers have a full 6-man unit out there. The goaltender is there to 7 men on the ice. That is way too many men. It goes uncalled. Firstly, the fact that no NHL referee saw it was kind of interesting. Secondly, the fact that nobody on the Ottawa Senators bench noticed it either was even more interesting because, if the Sens had noticed it, they would have been hollering at the referees to get a penalty, and it seemed to have gone by everybody, the referees, the Sens bench, the players on the ice, that there were indeed 6 Rangers out there. Look, NHL referees usually get this. It's just the 1 or 2 odd times a year where they miss one of these calls. It looks very, very bad. Like, the optics for this are absolutely terrible. Anybody looks at this clip, and they'd be like, yeah, what the heck, these referees? What the hell is going on here? Do your job. Furthermore, when it comes to penalties that were called, let's talk about Tim Stutzle and his embellishment penalty in the third period. Now, at this point in the game, it was 2-1, I believe, for the Sens. Then Tim Stutzle gets tripped up. It's actually Jacob Trouba who goes to the box, but Stutzle himself gets a penalty for embellishment, and this kind of got a lot of Senators fans ticked off, but not really because they didn't want the call to be made. The thing with Tim Stutzle in this game is that there are a few moments earlier on where he was kind of going down a little bit soft, where it did seem a little easy to push him down. And you could have said, okay, earlier in the game he probably should have had maybe some form of a talking to from the referee, maybe an embellishment call or something, because he did go down a couple times earlier on in the game. But this time, Trouba gets his stick lodged into Stutzle's skating, and Stutzle gets tripped up because of it. The referee has to skate over and pull the stick out of Stutzle's legs, and Stutzle gets the embellishment there. Rangers fans are going to be like, yeah, serves you right, you were tripping and falling all over the ice. Senators fans, on the other hand, are like, yeah, but not that time. Was this particular moment with Trouba's stick in the third period at, 15 minutes and 22 seconds, embellishment? It certainly did not look as bad as the other ones, and this one goes to the box. Because of this, there's no power play, and then you had Ryan Lindgren, who scored immediately afterwards, so yeah, Senators fans happy about that. Speaking about the goals, though, let's go over the first Rangers goal of the night. Chris Kreider is the one who scores off of a very good tic-tac-toe passing play from Adam Fox. He got Artemi Panarin over there. The spin by Fox that he does near the left blue line to evade the pressure is so spectacular, and it eventually leads to the passing play that finds Kreider in front. This was an ugly play. Not because Chris Kreider scored a goal, but because you had yourselves Josh Brown, who is on Chris Kreider. He's the man assigned to the front of the net. And Kreider just kind of slips away from him. Josh Brown is out of position. Kreider gets the pass from Artemi Panarin. He puts it into the open cage. And Josh Brown is kind of pushing at him behind because he is out of position and he needs to try to get back at the goal scorer. Chris Kreider, after scoring the goal, tries to jump over Matt Murray to go to the corner to celebrate with his teammates, but he kind of catches Murray in the head with his knee. And eventually Murray has to leave the game. And now we have the updates that his injury was indeed a result of the knee to the head from Chris Kreider. However, so far there has been no update on his status. So, name a better duo first and foremost than Chris Kreider and running into Canadian goaltenders and injuring them. Sound familiar? Yeah, I know. Montreal fans, hush hush. You guys are playing Detroit in a little bit. But either way, Chris Kreider definitely has a history of being that kind of guy, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, mostly because this one wasn't really intentional looking, at the very least. He scores the goal, he kind of jumps up, he's excited, and Josh Brown is behind him, shoving him out of the way, too. This one was just kind of a freak accident. Like, if I'm going to be honest, this one wasn't all too bad compared to the Carey Price one from 7 years ago. If anything, this one's a problem because Josh Brown is completely out of position. The two Senators defensemen are just in front of Kreider, and Kreider is allowed to be right beside the goaltender waiting for the pass. You learn this in minor hockey. Stay in between the player you're guarding and the net. You don't allow them to get behind you because all of a sudden that's a free opportunity. Because Josh Brown is completely out of position, that's why he pushes Chris Kreider out of the way, and the momentum that he has when he's jumping over Murray pushes his knee into the head of Murray, and it's very unfortunate. So I don't want to make it seem like Kreider's the bad guy because this one just seemed like a freak accident. However, at the end of the game, we had ourselves another Chris Kreider moment that got the fans super frustrated, loud, and rowdy, because as the Senators are trying to tie this game up, it's Josh Norris who has the puck behind the net. He tries to squeak over to the far side, and guess what? Boom, out of nowhere, Chris Kreider hits in the back of the numbers. He goes head first into the boards. Kreider gets a minor penalty with 10 seconds left in the game. And I saw a lot of people kind of freaking out, okay, why is that only a minor? Why is that not a major? This was a bad hit, bad penalty to take, especially at that time in the game. And I can totally understand where they're coming from because, okay, if that was a 10-minute, 5-minute major or whatever, if the Senators score in the last 10 seconds of the game, in overtime they would have had a power play. However, because it's a minor, if they had scored, they would not have had that chance. But for Chris Kreider, you know, I defended him earlier in this video. I'm not going to do that again this time. What a bad hit to throw at such a late stage in the game, too. The guy was trying to protect the puck. He was just along the boards, and boom, Kreider hits him with the forearm right into the numbers, and that's why he goes head first. He was kind of shaken up by that after the hit. And I'm not too sure if that's going to be a penalty or a suspension or whatever. I will say that if it does end up resulting in a suspension, I don't really think it's going to be too long. Unfortunately, while the hit is indeed a bad one, and it's one that I don't think you should be taking and one that should be penalized, I'd be lying if I said I'd never seen a hit like this before. It's just circumstantially, it's at the end of the game, it's on Josh Norris, who is one of these beloved young Ottawa Senators, and the fact that it's in the Senators building, there's a reason why for 5 minutes after they were chanting, "Ref, you suck, ref, you suck, ref, you suck." It happens all the time in hockey. It's just now, Chris Kreider, man, with all the stuff with the goaltender, Matt Murray getting injured, and then Josh Norris at the end of the game, certainly was not a fun experience for Sens fans, combined with the penalties that were called and the ones that were not called. Tim Stutzle and his embellishment penalty was kind of weird. However, it could have been seen as a makeup for the other stuff in the game earlier. I'm not too sure if that's the proper way to go about it, but that is how it went down. He also had the 6-man, too many men on the ice that was not called for the Rangers. Ultimately, even though New York wins this game, this certainly did not feel like a conclusion, I guess you could say, right? Like, we still have more hockey games, I hope, between the Sens and the Rangers coming up, and we'll see if the energy, the passion from tonight's action will carry over into the next series of games. So talk to me in the comments if you're a Sens fan, if you're a Rangers fan, about today's game. What did you think? Did you like how it was called? Did you not like how it was called? What are your thoughts on Kreider and Matt Murray, Kreider and Josh Norris, Josh Brown, and how he involved himself in the Kreider-Matt Murray thing, as well as the refereeing? I hope you enjoyed this video. Josh Rolls 99, and bye.